Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Culture Schlock podcast. My name is Zach.
And I am Danny, and today we are going to really test how far you're willing to come with us.
We've got some dank, deep pop culture today that you may not have heard of, but by the time this episode is finished, I hope that you are interested enough to look into it because it is a very fascinating subject, if I do say so myself.
Yes, and our subject matter was brought to us by our lovely guest for the episode, our guest, Kat. Kat, say hello.
Hello.
And Kat is a mutual friend of Danny and mine. Were from college. And yeah, like Danny said, we are very happy with what she gave us today to talk about because, boy, we have a lot to say, I think, all three of us.
This was the fun kind of painful homework, not like the Kevin Smith episode.
Kevin James.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin Smith. My apologies for. But I didn't want to die researching this episode, so thanks, Kat.
You're welcome. I mean, it still is a little bit of a mental Olympics as well as some emotional manipulation. So it's a little exhausting. There's some nice payoffs though. So,
So, Kat, tell us what you have brought us. Tell us what we're going to talk about.
well, when I listened to your guys' earlier episodes, I really wanted to be on, so I was racking my brain for some cringy material. And I remember, and it turned out my memory was incorrect, but I'll get to that. So I remember there being an after American Idol special hosted by Howie Mandel called Mobbed, in which a man wanted to propose to his girlfriend and needed the grandiose gesture of Howie Mandel and a flash mob to be able to do it, lest she say no. So my incorrect memory was that it stopped there because I remember it just like feeling so cringed out watching that episode that I thought it was canceled. But it turns out that episode, that standalone episode, did so well. It's like 2011, by the way. I don't know if I said that already, but uh, it turned out that episode did so well that they made a series out of it, and the series didn't do so well. But the whole series is called Mobbed. It's about breaking some news or doing some gesture through a flash mob, which in 2011 was a way bigger deal than
Yes,
it is now and may never be.
I remember just like it was like high school, and everyone was
Yeah.
trying to find any excuse to do a flash mob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was very relevant at the time.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like 2018 flash mob.
Yeah. It's definitely, yeah, it was a different time. I think a big part, and this is just me spitballing here because 2011, that was actually when I graduated high school. And I remember at the time, one of the biggest things, which I believe also this was a Fox network TV show. Another thing that I think was Fox was Glee at the time. And
Yeah.
I think that definitely was part of the big reason why flash mobs kind of were in the cultural zeitgeist at the
Mm,
time.
that's
That's
probably
just,
true.
yeah,
Glee broke culture.
Glee was culture, man. That was
Oh.
the height of culture back then. Everyone had some Glee songs on their iPods at that
Oh
time.
yeah. I mean, I was a Gleek. I won't pretend I wasn't.
Oh yeah, put that L up in the air on your forehead.
Oh man.
Oh god, I know what episode you're talking about. That's how bad it
Oh no.
is.
We'll have to find the picture when I promote this of me opening up on Christmas a shirt with Glee on it and me holding my big loser sign on my forehead. Holding my Glee. They really trolled us all. They're like, we're gonna get all these people to put loser signs on their foreheads, and we all happily did it and
Oh
smiled.
no.
So, Mobbed, what it was capitalizing on a very hot trend of the time, but
Yeah.
as you will see when we begin talking, the show is not Formatted for success is the kindest way I can say it.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think they weren't anticipating it to be something that would stick around. It was something that they definitely wanted to capitalize on that trend as hard and as fast as possible.
I'd even go as far to say it was money laundering and they had to put their money somewhere. So they made this
The
show.
producers, they had to make a flop to make money.
Well, they do refer to all the people that they bring to the dances as mobsters. So,
Yeah, no, the language of the show gets really funny.
Okay, so before we jump in, let's give a brief lowdown. We couldn't get every episode. This
yeah.
show has vanished.
Hmm.
So we had 5 episodes that we managed to find on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we'll give you the just a snapshot before we launch into them so that you're a little more prepared. Kat, why don't you tell us about the episodes?
All right. Well, the pilot episode that I mentioned, which was the After American Idol special, reads as follows. Torrid model Nikki's dreams come true as her boyfriend Justin Davis proposes and they get married in the middle of the flash mob.
We'll talk about that. We've got. Ooh.
Yeah. I wonder if they're still together, I guess. We'll do like a update and
But where are they now?
Yeah, it's like unsolved mysteries. Robert Stack's gonna come out in a trench coat and say, "Update."
But before we started the podcast, Zach, you were kind of talking about the opening monologue of that pilot episode,
Oh God.
where Howie is describing the show, but it's not at all what the show is about. He
Yes,
goes out.
it's
He's
shot the
walking
most
towards.
dramatic way too. Is the
Of
funniest.
course.
He's like walking across like an empty like airfield, describing. He's like, "There's many important events in your life." Such as coming out of the closet to those that you love, all sorts of things that do not come up in any of the episodes that we were able to find, or based on the descriptions we have in any of the episodes.
Exactly.
And
And he goes, everyone has a secret, which like none of these are really, I wouldn't say these are secrets. The proposal, yeah, sure, like I'll that's a little
That's not
secret, I
even a
guess, but
secret. That's just a propose. Like.
yeah, but you like Zach said, they're like maybe you want to come out of the closet. Maybe there's a boss that you want to say shove my job. Like
Oh,
things that really this isn't.
yeah.
Um but it's more of a grand gesture
Mhm.
than a secret, so that was weird. But yeah, you're right, he walks across a big empty black void with the fog machine rolling into a private jet, which
Yeah.
is in the studio and the
It's
sound.
where all the budget from the show went, probably was Howie's private jet.
A
Exactly.
pattern that we will come to notice is that clearly Howie Mandel had full control over
Yeah.
everything that happens on this show.
Mhm.
And what this proves is that he shouldn't. He
He
is.
if memory serves, he was listed as EP on the show. This may have been a passion project of his. I doubt that, but he definitely had leeway since he was pumping his own money into it. That's
I
for
mean,
sure.
even in these episodes, you can see him delivering some of his worst ideas, and the producers like clearly aren't on board. But guess what idea gets made? It's Howie's.
Yeah. There is a lot of suggestions. There's Howie, there's a choreographer named Tabitha who makes very outlandish suggestions as well. And then I think one other choreographer, at least in one
Yeah,
episode, named Napoleon.
yeah.
Napoleon.
Napoleon. And he's short too, which is great.
So let's jump into this
And
proposal.
then Howie ends his monologue
Um,
by saying, "Get ready to be mobbed."
yeah, it sounds
And
so violent.
how I underestimated him when he said that, but by the end of these 5 episodes, I definitely felt like I had been mobbed.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it in my notes. I wrote down so many Howie quotes, like direct Howie quotes, because
Mhm.
oh my god. But the first Howie quote I have from this episode is that this is the loudest, biggest, and most surprising method possible to share your whatever. I'm like, you're not wrong. We-
I think a good explosion might do the trick.
That's all these mobs were missing. Just a few explosions. The episode starts, and I do like the idea of this. We see the producers in a room watching tapes, and the tape that this guy sends in to propose to his girlfriend, he's like, I
Mhm.
love her. She does hate that I have dated other women.
Yeah.
Um,
She does not trust me at all.
no, she doesn't trust me. She hates that other women exist in my vicinity.
Yeah, the first thing he uses to describe her is saying, "Well, Nikki has a bit of a jealous streak."
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you already going in on the flaws? So they watch the tape, and this happens every episode, but Howie's like, oh my god, what if she says no? Oh my god, wouldn't that be hilarious? We do all this for him. We surround her with spectacle, and she just goes no and breaks his heart.
I was wanting that to happen so bad.
Every
Like,
single flash mob, I rooted for the disaster to
yeah.
strike.
Yeah, spoiler alert, they all go pretty well. Like they're
Yeah.
all at least the episodes we could find, I'm sure
Yeah.
they have an episode where something goes haywire, but they're all pretty, at least on the show. I'm like we were talking about one couple that's no longer with us and
Oh
Mhm.
my
a
god,
couple of
they're
them they're
dead.
alive. They're alive.
So after they decide to do this, they have
Mhm.
to trick the Mark. That's what they call them, the Mark,
Yeah.
into doing an interview with them. And so, they're like, "Oh, here's a fake TV show that's totally not about flash mobbing you."
Yeah. And that's
And
my favorite part is that she had trust. I had that written down that you're like, yeah, she's jealous, has a little bit of trust issues. And then it goes, so in order to get her on the show, her boyfriend lied to her and said she was on a different show. So it's like,
these trust issues
wonder
will
where she
return.
has trust issues.
But like I loved it because she was like her interview, she's like, "I love being in control. I love knowing what's going on." And I'm like, "Oh boy."
At one point they ask her something and Justin starts to answer and she goes, "They ask me the question."
I know, I love that.
Oh man.
I'm like, a
Shut up,
real catch you got there, Justin, old boy. But yeah, they always do a fake interview to get to know the person. What was weird
Mhm.
about this one is there's usually a through line of the fake interview into the mobs, where in this one, and this is probably just because it was the pilot and they were working things out, but
Yeah.
they fake interview her for a design show that she supposedly will be a part
It's
of.
Mhm.
not even remotely related to the topic
Yes,
of the
and then
mom.
when they go to the mob, they're at a fake movie premiere, so it's like, all right, so
Yes.
Yeah, why
I
Something.
guess
didn't they just
normal
say,
people need to
"Hey,
know
we'd
the
like to have you on
protection.
the design show"? Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that in the other episodes. It's usually like they're interviewing them for this, and then they'll come back for that same thing. But for some reason, this one was like, I don't know. I know that they're trying to get to know her, and a design show is probably just so they can get things out for the wedding that's going to occur at the end
Oh
of the
yeah.
episode. But
Yeah,
I
that's
thought that
true.
was weird. But yeah,
Yeah.
they got Nikki all marked up.
And then the time comes after that where they start planning for the mob. And so obviously, when you think of a flash mob, the big part, and like Kat mentioned with the choreographers, there's the choreography that has to happen. But what Howie, and this is my thing with all of these episodes, where Howie is the architect of like the, I guess, through line or plot that leads to the mob. Because it can never just be like, oh, go out with your person that you're trying to connect with and we're just going to have people dance around you. There always has to be some kind of triggering event. So in this first episode, like we mentioned, Nikki has trust issues and is a little bit jealous of other women being around her boyfriend. And so Howie's great idea is, how about we send you guys on a really nice, lovely date, and then we send like a beautiful woman up who acts like she has been messing around with you and to piss Nikki off. So that way we piss her off, and then when she's pissed off, we can immediately jump in with the mob and make everything better.
Yeah. And it's hysterical because the line they give this other woman character is, "You never told me you had a girlfriend."
Yes.
And it's so,
Yeah,
there's no room for other interpretations. It is
absolutely.
fully, he is cheating on her.
The imagery that this gives me, Howie Mandel, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before we started. I like before watching this, I liked Howie Mandel. I occasionally watch America's Got Talent. He's always been kind of one of my favorite judges on there because he's got a taste for like weird variety acts and stuff. And he's always giving me, maybe it's the bald head, but he's always reminded me of Mr. Clean, who, as we know, is a genie.
God.
But on this show, Howie Mandel is more like an evil djinn because he grants these wishes of the mob people, but there's always a twist. There's always a twist where it goes wrong before it has to go right.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because Howie actually describes this as a birthday party analogy, but what he doesn't realize is you don't have to break a person down to
Yeah,
dust and nothing and despair so that when the flash mob comes in, of course they're happy because their life sucks in their mind. But yeah, I'm interested about his histories at surprise parties because you could cut out that middleman. She would still be happy to be proposed to without him
yes,
pretending she's being cheated on.
And
yeah,
as we go to the other episodes, his ideas to break this person only get worse.
Worse. Oh my gosh.
It's like these awful, like, mind games.
yeah.
Like,
And my favorite part, you mentioned the other actress who they give that awful line to. There's a scene right before when they're rehearsing where the Howie walks up to the actress and is like, "Okay, you're gonna say this," and she literally goes like, "Eh." She's even like, "Are you sure? I like as a woman, like I don't know if that's right." And Howie's like, trust me. We just got to get in there quick with the mob after it happens, and it will all be okay."
yes, and
Yeah.
it's I have another Howie quote that perfectly describes his attention to the potential fiance's feelings. It's, "I don't want her to have a chance to take a breath."
Ooh.
This onslaught of feelings.
And I'll follow that up because I love that quote, but I'll follow it up with the Howie quote it's one of the few direct quotes I wrote down. It was before they even brought the idea to the boyfriend about, "Hey, we should make it look like you may have been cheating on her." And one of the other producers goes like, "Are you sure? That seems a little drastic." And Howie says, "No one has ever said no to me."
Oh, how.
Yeah.
Is this I think this might be the same episode. He says, they never say no to me. I'm just going to keep asking unless they say no. And then he goes, "Do you hear the excitement in my pants?" But he's
Oh,
referring to his phone is ringing at that time, but everyone's like, "What?"
what the
Or at
fuck?
least today's audience, if they're like me, was like, "What?"
Yeah,
The
yeah.
segue was not it,
And
Howie.
I would
Clearly.
like to
Yeah.
note that the female choreographer was like, "Howie, I really don't think this is a good
Yes.
plan. Like, Howie, please don't ruin their relationship before he proposes."
It was, yeah, every woman, the choreographer, the actress playing the fake cheater, every other woman is like, are you kidding me?" Like it's like this isn't how this is supposed to go.
And all the guys are like, "This is hysterical."
Yeah. That'll be funny.
Except once they're getting close, the guy who's proposing is like, maybe not. Like, does she have to throw a drink in my face? Because the mistress is told to throw a drink in his face, and he does not get to say no.
He's just, yeah, he's the unwilling victim of this entire thing, and it's just everybody. It's all just we're all chess pieces on Howie Mandel's chaotic board, man.
And not to mention the fiance to be, and husband to be, because it all happens in one day, and
Yeah.
one literally in 1 hour, in 1/2 hour, 5 minutes. But anyway, uh, he mentions as they're like rehearsing for the dances and like the paths they have to take to get through the mall they're doing the flash mob in. that
Hmm.
she's been texting him all day asking where he is, and he's like
Yeah.
lying to her. I don't know his skill of lying, but so then for her to go to that premiere and a girl in like a beautiful disco ball esque dress walks up to you and goes, "You should have told me about her," and throws a
Uh,
drink in your face. Like, you're right. She's given very little room to think anything else is
yeah.
happening other than
And
he's
it doesn't happen fast. They like give her a second to like mourn.
Yeah, I wrote down that she was literally having, like, a panic attack because, like, the drink gets thrown on the guy, and 2 random, like, it's, like, 2, like, ushers, I guess, at this movie theater, wherever
Security
the hell
guy
they're at.
and his usher. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them goes like, sir, we're gonna take you somewhere so you can get changed," and they just
yeah,
leave her
security
there.
takes him.
Yeah.
Sir,
They
you're
leave
wet. You're wet. We're gonna arrest you. Like,
And they
both.
also go up to Nikki and go, "Did you do this?" As if she was the one that took the drink, like, just
you're
another slap in the
gaslighting
face.
me.
Yes! I wrote gaslighting in my notes too. I said, "This is gaslighting before a
Yeah, no,
proposal.
this
It's a
is
nightmare."
literally it's
And
an abusive relationship
Yeah.
between Howie and these people.
she is sobbing, and Howie's in the control room and like saying, "Calm her down, calm her down, calm her down."
He'll just say things like, "We're losing her. She's fading. We're losing her."
She's fading.
He says we're losing them so frequently on this show.
Yeah, this was maybe the best day of some people's lives, but also the worst in some.
Yeah. To give you the best day of your life, we must first.
Exactly, like, that's his whole methodology, and then for him to be like, "It's the surprise party analogy." I'm like, I don't know that that's the formula.
Yeah.
No. So the flash mob starts, and I just want to say that in every episode, it reminds me of the musical "The Guy Who Doesn't Like Musicals,"
Oh,
because in real life, when people just start doing choreography and singing and dancing around you, and you don't know what's happening,
Mhm.
that's terrifying.
yes.
How are you supposed to respond? Like,
Yeah. Her reaction, I think of all the reactions in all the episodes, Nikki's was my favorite because immediately she starts like cackling and doesn't stop until like the very end. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm glad she got it fast because there are episodes that we watch where they don't, and it's very cringy.
Yeah, but she's crying. All of a sudden, the security guard says, also when he's interrogating her, "Did you throw the drink in his face?" Blah, blah, blah. He goes, "Do you love him? Does he mean a lot to you? Is he your everlasting love?" And then everyone starts slamming their utensils a la Tarzan.
Oh my
Like playing,
god!
all the
Oh my
waiters start dancing. I watched
and the,
one of this episode with my friend, and like chefs come out, and my friend was like, "Look at all those food boys."
those food boys. I just kept thinking every time because I mean that's why this show exists is to get to this moment where the mob starts, but like every single time it happened, I think that if I was in that situation, I would immediately think I was having a nightmare or something. I would probably disassociate at that point.
Leave your body and watch from a distance.
Yeah, I would astral project the fuck out of there.
Yeah, I mean, and so the mob goes, and then he says, "Will you marry me?" She says yes, and then he's like, "So, babe, what if we got married right now?"
Oh,
And oh my god, the panic that I felt listening to
yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
they get married, and they like put this gigantic wedding dress on her, like they didn't have her measurements.
Yeah, I was like, is she because like they were going out on a nice date, so it's not like she was wearing like a like wife beater and jeans or anything. She was dressed nice, but like
I'm
I was like,
surprised
are they just
Howie
gonna get?
didn't want to like dress her like a homeless person just to
Yeah,
humiliate her further.
yeah. I just couldn't believe that it was like it looked like a hospital robe. It was like a smock like that they
Yeah.
put over her. It was crazy. I just couldn't believe it.
Well, I know where you're getting the hospital robe from because they don't zip the back of the dress up.
Yeah.
Show her outfit, and Zach, that's very nice of you to say she dressed nice. She's dressed okay. She's wearing a little
Oh,
outfit
oh.
that's fully visible. That's fine. They're no longer with us.
But I just love it at the very end too, because they interview Howie comes out to like basically do a "We did that, wasn't that crazy?" interview. And he was like, "Oh my god, wasn't it hysterical when the boyfriend who told us that you had trust issues, like, pretended that your trust issues were super well founded? Wasn't that hysterical?"
Mhm.
Yeah, because Howie comes out the end and goes, "Tell us what's on your mind." And the first thing she says is, "Where's the girl in the sparkly dress?"
Where's the
And
girl?
by now she knows. She knows it was an act and it was a prank,
Yeah.
but she still is angry and she will never let him forget about that. If this couple
Oh,
is still
no.
married, which
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know.
Howie Mandel hurt their relationship that day, either way.
Yeah, for sure.
I went back to the Wikipedia to see if there was any links to like show, and there's a citation on the pilot episode, and it leads to an article that's titled "Mobbed Review: 3 Reasons Why Howie Mandel is a Very Mean Man."
He is. This A lot of this is unkind and like they're going to be really happy in a few seconds, but
Yeah.
some of these episodes it's like Howie.
Yes. This is the first reality TV show I've watched where there's a villain. It's Howie Mandel.
We're
The
forced
evil
to watch
Jin.
him ruin lives.
But yeah, I just like when I watched this first episode when it premiered, just thinking how horribly awkward it would be to just get married like that in front of all these
Yeah.
strangers. And yes, her family is there. At one point, a trolley pulls up, and just like Mother Ginger's children, they all run out from the innards and surprise her. So that's nice. They got that all there, but her, she didn't get to do her hair and makeup the way she
Yeah.
probably would have wanted. These are I don't know Nikki, but I know her well enough to know that she liked material.
She likes being in control. She likes being in control, and she didn't get to choose anything about how she
No.
looked that night.
No, and the
Yeah.
dress
That's
was
I
not
didn't
that
even think
great
about
either.
No, it wasn't.
that.
I would say if they're still together, they had another ceremony after that. Like, didn't save them money on a
Probably.
ceremony at all. And the other one was probably grander because they had to top the flash mob. They're in debt now. I would say.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because every single one of these episodes, that's all I could think of was like whether it was a wedding proposal or whatever else. All these people, nothing will ever be good enough for them now. Anything else in their life will need to top this moment where tens of thousands of strangers danced and serenaded them. And
That's where they get those explosives.
yeah, that's when Howie Mandel breaks out the cartoon dynamite tied with a long
Congrats on your
fuse.
first baby, happy couple.
It's that scene from The Dark Knight with the Joker walking out of the hospital, but it's Howie
Yeah.
Mandel.
Oh my god.
But another movie analogy that I think of when I watch this is a line that is constantly repeated in these is them saying, "This is all for you," which you remember in The Omen.
Oh no!
The maid says that same thing before hanging herself at the little boy's birthday party. "This is all for you, Damien."
Oh no!
Oh, God.
Oh god.
But that is reoccurring, and I think it's like what they use to calm down the person because they're very confused, clearly, and
Yeah.
people are singing and they're not sure if it's okay to wet themselves because they might be laying in their bed, but they might really be here.
And
Great
an
way
episode of Mobbed is what you see before you die.
It's a fever dream, a deathbed hallucination.
Oh man.
But yeah, it only gets cringier from that first episode.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the pilot was like Kat said, it was a one-time special, and I guess it attracted enough viewers that the series got greenlit. And yep, it's all down. I would say I don't know about everyone else. I know we haven't talked about the other ones, but for me, the pilot may have been my favorite episode in terms of quality, in terms of unintentional comedy and cringe, I think there's better episodes, but in terms of like a through line, the pilot was probably my personal favorite if I had to pick one.
And that just goes to back up the theory that it should have stopped there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
what a great special.
We still would be making this podcast episode about
Oh
just
yeah.
that one
Oh yeah. Even if it was just
time,
this
but
one episode, yeah, I could do a full length talk about just that one.
do you want me to do the description for episode 2? A father's
Yeah,
Mhm.
apology. A father, I think his name is Jan. A
Mhm.
yeah.
father, Jan, after leaving his wife Cheryl and their daughter Megan, hopes to re-enter his daughter's life and apologize to his wife with the help of a flash mob.
The story was actually really sad. Like, he married his high school sweetheart. They had their
Mhm.
daughter. Were a lovely family, but then they lost their son
Yeah.
like moments after he was born. And
Mhm.
that's why he really became a bad dad. And you're like, man, that's tragic. Why are you on a flash mob show with Howie Mandel? I don't think this is the right avenue to make this apology.
Yeah. This is free therapy costs money. So Howie Mandel it is.
Yeah, and in this episode, Howie says he describes their actions as they're like superheroes by saving
Yeah,
this.
Oh.
fixing one relationship at a time. Speaking of
Yeah.
which, what's Howie's sick twist for this flash mob?
My God. So they invite the Mark, who is Megan, which I
Mhm.
will say there is a twist, a different twist in this episode where he ends up surprising the wife Cheryl is in on it so that they can mutually surprise Megan, but then they also end up surprising Cheryl as well. But
Mhm.
the setup for Megan is that they're going to be doing a televised father daughter type pageant. And at 2 seconds before they click start for the live recording, Jan's going to call and say he can't make it. So
Oh.
Megan has to stand on stage between.
He says, I can't make it. I can't explain. Bye.
Yes, it was the most half-assed bullshit. Like it wasn't even a good Howie Mandel twist. It was like
Well, no, it was good in the sense that it still fully broke his daughter.
ugh, yeah, I
She was like
guess.
sobbing. It was horrible.
Yeah. I think
Howie
it would have been
Mandel finds your biggest insecurity and just gouges it.
he pitchforks the fuck out. It's not a needle, it's
Oh,
full
your dad was
stab.
a deadbeat? Well, he's still not here, is he, Megan?
Yeah.
And something that is also striking to me about this is imagine being so paranoid that your daughter feels this way about you, and then like them interviewing her and her like verbatim saying she does have all these issues. It's like, yes, it is a fact he was not around, but like maybe in
Mhm.
his mind, it's like, well, she might still love me. And then watch the interview that's like, no, my dad doesn't care about me, blah, 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 like confirming all of his insecurities as well as what they're going to be doing to her in this episode.
Yeah, it's I this yeah, this episode it started strong like Danny was saying, like the reasoning and everything. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is like actually like something that could work. But like by the end of it, with Howie's twist and just how like it got dark with the feelings the daughter had like towards her dad being confirmed what he was afraid of, and it was I don't even know, man. Like this one, I broke immediately. This is the second episode I watched. And from that point, everything else in any other episode did not feel as severe. It was still crazy, but this episode, I was like, Jesus, man.
I didn't think it was a good idea, but I'm like, man, this is a complicated situation where, like,
Mhm.
I can understand why he became absent. It wasn't the right choice, but I'm not going to condemn him.
Yeah.
I am going to condemn him for using a flash mob to fix it.
Yeah. True.
But so there are usually two songs in the flash mob, and this guy's like, for my second song, I don't want to care about my daughter anymore. I'm gonna try to win back my not ex-wife, they're separated.
Ugh.
And, you know, in that scene especially, you see Howie's control issue because so first of all, we all know Howie's got germophobia or something. And it's funny because in my notes, I like note down, I write down every time he touches somebody, which is usually just like fist bumps, but I like,
Mhm.
so he is like, so what if Jan's like, what if we also apologize to Cheryl? And Howie stands up off the couch and says, what are you saying? And like distances himself from Jan like a million feet. Like goes from sitting on the couch with him to like standing on the opposite side of the room going, so you think you'll take the reins, Jan?
Are you an executive producer, Jan?
Excuse me, Jan, did you put 4 million of your own dollars into the show? I think not.
But anyway, Danny, so what song does he choose to perform for her?
For which one? Which, the
For
more
Cheryl
important
the
one about for his
wife.
wife?
Yeah.
Hmm.
He chooses to go with Love Me Tender.
Ugh.
And he
And
can sing it. And Howie immediately is like, you can sing it. And it feels like Howie is just mocking this man at this point.
Yeah.
that happens a lot, I feel like.
He's like,
Yeah.
poor stupid sad man.
You can sing it. But the
Oh,
backstory with Love Me Tender, I think, was that his wife was waiting for him on a park bench and he came up behind her singing that song
yeah.
and it didn't ruin it for her. So it's their song now.
Another thing I noticed in this episode, so they try to get the person the who asked for the mob involved in dancing at least a little bit for all the mobs.
Hmm.
And these choreographers have no patience
Oh
for the
God.
fact that these people have no dance experience.
Yeah.
They do not adjust the choreography for them.
Mm-mm.
They're like trying to teach them professional level dancing and then like rolling their eyes when this
Yes.
sad man can't do it.
They're so fucking snarky. There's multiple times where it shows them, and like I don't really think we've mentioned this, but like the turnover time for these mobs for them to not only cast the thousands of people and teach them choreography is only like whatever, like 48, 72 hours at most. Um,
Yeah.
and there's multiple times where it shows them trying to choreograph all these randos and like shows the people dancing, they're not like awful, but like occasionally there's somebody like out of step or out of time, and they get on like a megaphone, they're like, all right, let's do it again, and this time can it not suck? Like they say shit like that through the like snarkiest dance call choreographer people of all time.
Yeah, there's one where they're going down in a glass elevator through a mall so you can see all the
Oh my
levels of the
god.
mall and they want like dancers on every level and they're showing how what it would look like and in the safety of the elevator Tabitha says this is not the best mob we've had. But giving smiling and giving them a thumbs up through the glass as she says
Oh
it.
my god. The contempt.
Damn it, Tabitha.
Also, during the planning of this particular mob,
Hmm.
it's like a PA or an extra. There's some girl who doesn't recognize Howie, and he
Oh
gets so
God.
offended by that he makes her go Google him.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
There's a segment like right after it where he goes out on the street and meets some tourists and he's like, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Are you excited to meet me?
He's
And I'm like, what does this have to do with anything, Howie?
Yeah,
Howie, you made Bobby's World. Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares.
yeah, and he's talking to them and saying, "In America, I'm what's known as a sex symbol."
Oh God. Ugh. And she Googles him, and it's an old ass picture of him when he had like a curly afro. Still, he wasn't.
He very pointedly says, you looked really good in the 80s, which I think is the best backhanded compliment you can
Yeah,
give a person.
that's very good. How did I forget about that? Jesus.
I just watched that episode today. So the mob goes down. Well, it happens. She's at the show, and her father makes that horrible phone call,
Mm.
and like the people on set are trying to comfort her, And then, like, in the control room, everyone's like, "We're so good at this. Look at her."
Look at those tears. Yeah.
And then a guy on stage blows, one of those,
A pitch pipe, I think.
yes, a pitch pipe, and starts singing "Just the Way You Are."
Mhm.
And from the interview afterwards, you find out, but it's also very clear on Megan's face, she had no idea what was happening, and she did not think that this was connected to her.
Yeah.
No, I personally would have thought that this was some weird man trying to play a knight in shining armor, seeing I was
Yeah.
sad, and then bursting out into song to cheer me up.
Mhm.
Like, that
That's
would have
the
been my
same
first
vibe I got
assumption.
too. Because the first line of that song is "Her eyes, her eyes." Like it was definitely like he was hitting on her. I was
Yeah, it
like,
was not a message being sent from the father.
"Oh no."
Would not be my first impression.
So at the end of the first flash mob, they lead her through all these dancers, and she loses her fucking shoe. They're pushing her around, and her shoe gets lost.
Yes, she says, "I lost my shoe," and they go, "It's okay, you're one of us now."
And we never saw Megan again.
When I said
Thousands
that,
of
I would
fans.
think I was in a nightmare. That is exactly why. Somebody and that's the thing that we haven't really mentioned it. The mob, like it's happening all around it, and there's a person in every one of these whose job it is to link arms with the mark and guide them through the
And
mob.
drag
I was in a
them.
public place and somebody linked arms with me and started pulling me through crowds of people singing and dancing and chanting and clapping and saying, "You're one of us now." I would pray for death. I would
And
be
articles of my clothing are falling off, and no matter how many people I pass, nobody can pick it up for me. I tried to look to see if she was wearing one shoe the whole time. I forgot to, like, check back in with her feet.
It was hard to tell. I did too.
"I lost my shoe." "That's okay. You don't need shoes where we're going."
shoes where we're going. You don't need no shoes.
Also, the guy leading her, is dressed as Timothy the Mouse from Dumbo in a nice red marching band suit, which is another recurring theme in every one of these, if not a marching band. And she was a part of the marching band. That was the significance of that. But then they're also in almost every episode, if not in the actual band uniform attire, wearing red,
Yeah.
Yes.
mobbed color.
But my favorite part about this is that, okay, so the Megan's flash mob finishes, and they lead her to another telephone, just like the one where her dad just called her to blow her off. And he answers, and he's like, "Megan, look at me." And like, where is he? And everyone directs her to turn around, and he's like on a very tall place far away on the phone giving his apology. And I'm like, why are you not face to face with your
Exactly.
daughter?
He took a page out of Howie Mandel's book because when he talked to Howie Mandel about it, Howie stood across the room. So he's like, okay, clearly I need to be on a balcony many miles from where he is.
But then when the wife's song comes on, he comes down and actively participates. And
Yeah.
like, you couldn't do this for your daughter?
Yeah. I
It
thought that was
really feels like he wanted to reconcile with this wife, but his wife said, "You need to fix your relationship with Megan."
he
Wow,
said
you're right. That is
So he
probably
went,
exactly what happened.
"Okay," and then he's like, "I did it. Can we get back together now, please?"
can I stop sleeping on the couch, please?
But yeah, he says, "Remember what I sang to you at lunchtime?" And then he does a pretty decent interpretation of "Love Me Tender." Like, you have to think about the nerves and, like, his
Yeah.
wife and daughter were crying, and I don't know if I could get through it without crying, so he did a pretty good job, but he also
Yeah.
just kinda seemed like he was void of a lot of emotions the whole time.
Yeah. He there was something about him that I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, from start to finish.
It was probably the I can't explain goodbye."
Yeah.
I feel like every other time the person who wants to mob someone goes, "I don't think that's a good idea." And he was like, "Okay." He showed like no remorse as he broke his daughter's heart for the millionth
Yeah.
time.
Ugh. Jesus.
And then when the wife accepts the apology, they break out into the Love Me Tender mega mix.
Yeah, now available on iTunes.
This show could have had a soundtrack, honestly. They had all these people go in the recording booths and do covers. They could have
Oh
had
yeah.
they wanted to make more money, they could have sold an album.
I guarantee you it would not shock me at all because like you said, it started as an after American Idol special, and my parents were super into American Idol when that was a big thing, and they always put those songs on iTunes, so it would not surprise me at all. It's probably just like all the episodes that are lost to time. It's probably not available anymore, but at the time it would not shock me that there would be a mobbed cast original cast recording
Oh
album.
my god.
That
Mom
plays after the
original
episode. Buy the album on iTunes. Love
Hmm.
me tender, love me true.
We also get the opening where he's singing it, so he gets the royalties.
Yeah.
Exactly. Love me tender, sung by Yawn. His name
Featuring
is literally Yawn. We expected him to have emotions. He's yawning.
That's on us.
And then Howie Mandel, and this is something that rubs me the wrong way about Howie in these two, is that they're having their moment, they're hugging, they're crying, and Howie runs in and scoops up the microphone, is like, I did this, I did this.
You're welcome.
Are you not entertained?
He comes out and he says, Yawn, you're the man, but the subtext is, Yawn, I'm the man.
Just remember, Jan,
Sad, pathetic little life.
you owe your entire marriage to me, Jan, your next born child.
I had a note at the end of this one that says, I enjoy watching Howie Mandel mobbed. And I couldn't figure out what that meant until I realized it was a comment on the YouTube video that I thought was funny. So I enjoy watching Howie Mandel mobbed.
Is
Oh.
that Howie Mandel's burner account?
He's the one who uploaded these 5 episodes to YouTube. These are his favorites.
He'll get us the other 3 or 4, however many we were missing in due
Yeah.
time. Number 3, and honestly, I think this one is the highest level of cringe. It was called I Love You and We've Never Met. For some reason on YouTube, it's called Fanny Pack.
Spelled Pak, no C.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe that's, I don't know. But it's the lead singer of a Pittsburgh based pop punk band called Punchline. The lead singer's name is Steve. And they're helping Steve get to reveal his true feelings to his long distance best friend of 5 years who he's never met. And that's interesting that the description says they're best friends because the whole time he's like alluding that he's like long distance dating this girl, but the second she shows up, he refers to it as a friendship.
Yeah, and they
Friend.
interview her, and every time they're like asking her about her ideal man, and nothing she says matches what this man is.
Yeah. This one had yikes written all over it from the
Absolutely.
very beginning.
Yeah, and like when they're interviewing her, Howie Mandel isn't in the room, but he's watching from another control room, and he's just like, "Man, she's hot."
Oh god, yeah, the
Yeah.
entire time Howie is like, holy shit, dude, she is so sexy. Like, and it's just like, what on earth?
And like the entire time, it just sounded like he was like the subtext of it was like, "I can't wait to get Steve laid." Like
Yeah.
he doesn't care that that Steve wants a relationship. He cares that he wants Steve to have sex with this girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And like her whole setup as to why she thinks she's there is a speed dating event. So
Oh
you
my
would think that if this was a real relationship that she wouldn't have agreed to do that. For me, if I was Steve, I would have been like, "Can we change the premise of the
Yeah.
or maybe not ask her? I want to know if she'd accept what she does."
And that's when Howie Mandel talks him down and explains, "We're gonna give her the worst, most misogynist, most asshole men, so that
Yeah.
you look like a god."
Yes.
I'm like, this is so evil.
Yeah.
You're purposefully trying to be mean to her to tell her that the dating pool sucks. So just get
Exactly.
out of it and settle for Steve.
it felt very, like internet nice guy mentality to me.
Oh yeah.
It was like we're gonna give her like on the physical level everything she likes, but make them act like such dicks that she'll have no choice but to pick you. And it was like, oh
And they described it to him like that too. And they're like, we're going to make you look like gold compared to him. And then they go, well, you're already gold. We're going to underline the gold.
Nice
underwear.
recovery.
I know. They caught themselves. And it's
Uh,
sad too because after she describes that she likes bad boys and stuff, Howie goes to meet with Steve and Steve's sitting there wearing a polo just like Howie feared he would be.
Steve, I see that you're a pussy. Oh my god. So they're trying to choreograph and like mark chart her path that she has to take for this to work.
mhm.
This girl is terrified of elevators. She will not go in them.
Yes.
And they're like, "Well, our cameras are in the way of the stairs, so we're going to have to literally pick her up and drag her into an elevator." Alone with a strange man.
Yeah, Howie says, "Is it terrible if she's terrified for 10 seconds?" And somebody in the group that he's with goes, "No, it's not."
And like when it's actually happening, he is not this man is not entertaining her in the slightest. He's literally standing in front of the door like he's like kidnapping her.
Yeah.
And she starts to get freaked out because she doesn't like elevators.
Yeah, and they instruct the people in the elevator with her to not talk to her, to not look at her, look straight ahead, don't answer her. She goes,
Yeah.
is there a safe word? Like she's like
Yeah.
trying to talk to them and they look right through her.
That's what I was gonna say. She asks for a safe word.
When they're asking Steve like what like helping Steve pick out what songs he wants for her, Howie goes, "Well, what about klezmer, the Hasidic Jews dance?" And it's silence, and he's like, "Klezmer, klezmer, klezmer," doing his Howie. Well, he hasn't said no, so I'm just gonna keep asking. But they scrapped that idea. Apparently, I couldn't tell if he was kidding or if he klezmer.
Oh God.
But yeah, sorry to backtrack. I just
No,
that
Oh,
was
you're
so
fine.
striking that I
I think that definitely deserves a mention that they want the Hasidic Jewish dance to happen.
But yeah, they throw her in the elevator, and you're right. They literally scoop her up and toss her in. And not to mention the guy who she went on. Well, we haven't talked about the horrible date yet, but the guy she goes on the horrible date with is standing holding the elevator door open for her. So it looks like they're about to just throw her in the elevator with that guy and lock her in
Yeah.
there, which
Yeah.
isn't what happens, but he is like standing there, like leaning back against the elevator door so that it stays open.
I think, I mean, we still need to talk about the date, but I think my favorite part of this flash mob is that, unlike the other situations, she has no clue who has sicked this mess upon her.
Yeah.
Like, the first time she sees him, she's like, oh, but like the whole time this flash mob is happening, she's like, she has no context. She does not guess that her internet friend is doing this. And like
Internet.
everyone else can more or less be like, "Oh, it's my boyfriend. Oh, it's my dad." And like she's just like, "What is
Who would do this?
happening?
Who would do this to me?
You would do this?"
But yeah, so they put her on this horrible date who's aesthetically and physically everything she's described as her type, and they have an
Yeah.
earpiece, and they're making him say horrible, horrible, embarrassing stuff to her, such
Yeah.
as, "Oh, all these girls are pretty hot. I wonder why they asked you here."
Yeah.
Howie in his ear goes, "Tell her you love skanks.
Oh yeah. Oh my
Ask her if
god.
she's skanky."
Howie's holding a book open that says Howie Mandel's best pickup lines as he feeds them.
Howie's hand is in his pants. I will not accept other realities.
They only film him from the waist up during those segments for the reason.
Ask her if she's a snake. Ask her. Ask her.
But yeah, that's a lot. And then so it's a speed dating event. So when that time's up, they're like, everyone switch, and he stands up and goes, "No, I don't want to. I'm staying right here. This is the one I want her." which of course is like the cue for the "I Want You to Want Me" song that Steve picked out for her. But
And like Howie has to beg him to say the cue line.
Yeah.
He's like, say the cue line as written. As written.
It's like that scene in Phone Booth where the guy's like, "Serious!" with a gun pointed to his head.
But you're right. He does take liberties because he, instead of saying "I want you to want me," he's like "I want you, I want you." How he's like, say the line, "I want you to want me," and then all the other speed dater people stand up and go, "He wants you.
Oh,
He needs you."
Tell me more, tell me more.
They do their usual strategy of starting to block off all the exits by dancers.
yeah. While one person grips her wrist and leads her in the
You're not
direction
going
they want her
anywhere.
to go.
To the elevator, and then when they get there and she is stopped like a dog that won't enter a haunted house, they scoop her up and they toss her in.
There's no Scooby snacks here, just force.
And like the other mall that they used was a glass elevator, so you could like see the surroundings, but this one
No.
was just a good old
Yeah,
steel
steel
box.
door.
Yeah, this is a perfect elevator to trigger her fear of elevators.
When they were location scouting, they didn't look for a nice open space for the mob. Howie's demands were scariest elevator you can find.
Well, they're like, Howie, we have the place with the glass elevator. We'll just do that. And he said, no.
No.
I don't want her comfortable in the slightest.
And what's funny too is like since these Steve and Dana, the girl, since they don't really know each other, they've long distance for like 5 years. They're using like what little information about her that he has. So they know she hates elevators and they know that she loves, or supposedly both of them love the movie Big Fish. So they're going to recreate the daffodil scene from Big Fish, which,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, there's like 6 daffodils and 7 yellow umbrellas.
Yeah. Ugh.
And the way so he comes out and like she's like, "Oh shit, it's you," and he's like, "I have packed up my entire life, and the moving truck is right there." And he
Ugh.
points. He's like, "If you date me, I'm gonna move here for you specifically. If you don't, I have to drive all my stuff back to my home, which is, that'd be a bitch move."
Yeah,
And it's
they definitely pack the pressure on her. They have, you're right, like they have the moving truck as part of the mob, as part of the mob, as part of like a set piece, just there looming over her. They're standing in the shadow of the U-Haul. So what's it gonna be, Dana?
Yeah, it's definitely a loaded proposal.
This is just so aggressive because, like Justin and his girlfriend were in a place where they clearly had been talking about marriage. And this was just like a way to surprise her or something. But this is like a will you go out with me? And this is too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're clearly like not romantically involved. She's agreed to go to this speed dating event even after it's all said and done and she said yes to him. He Howie Mandel says, "So are you dating anyone?" and she says, "No." And he goes, "Yes, you are." And everybody cheers, but it's like she like just is clearly not into him.
Oh yeah.
Um
No.
I don't know, it just was very cringy.
And this is the only one, like we said, we don't know if the other couple that got married from the pilot are still together. This is the only one that we know context for, because in the YouTube comments, here we go. Here's the comment. I found it. It's, they broke up afterward. This was bound to happen. Oh, so sad. The whole concept of this idea was to find out more about this girl Dana, and that is what Dana gave to Steve. But that it was bound to happen, of course. As Howie says at 2:04 in the video, this girl is not into Steve at all.
Yeah. Well, it's like they ask her at the beginning, "Are you dating anyone?" She's like, "Well, I dated someone long distance for a little bit." But I don't even think she's referring to Steve because she says New Jersey and Steve is from Pittsburgh, so
Oh,
but I don't know. He was in a band, they might have been touring. She might have been referencing him, but yeah, she gives no indication that that she's into him, and also at one point says something about like it's crazy like talking to someone for 5 years thinking you'll never meet them. So like she had no plans to actually meet him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's been
Exactly.
5 years. If they wanted to meet, they would have.
Yeah. It was definitely like, I guess the only thing I can think of. I mean, like nowadays with stuff like Tinder and stuff like that, it's definitely common, just to talk with someone digitally. But back in the day, it was like the equivalent of like an AIM relationship, like an AIM chat relationship. It's just bonkers to me. This was probably, of all of them, thematically and in terms of cringe factor, this one was my least favorite. Like I said, I just knew it was going to be a disaster from the very beginning.
Oh god, one of the cringy moments too is like they're walking through the little daffodil display towards the umbrellas, and she goes, "Are these real daffodils?" And he goes, "They better be." Like Steve, Steve
Steve.
acting so cocky. They better be real. And then she's like, "How do you know these people?" He's like, "These are all my friends." They're like,
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
I got all the pull in the world, baby. I got Howie Mandel to do my bidding.
All these people will call you a bitch if you say no.
Yeah.
yeah, this was really just a peer pressure. Yes, I
Oh
think
yeah.
I saw something that they like did maybe date for a little bit, but like
Yeah.
probably wasn't a
Yeah.
long
Oh,
time.
I think yeah, it was definitely a short-lived relationship.
I
I think
think she stayed as long as she could without being, like,
Exposed, bitch.
yeah.
when the camera stopped rolling, Howie broke out a contract. It was like, all right, you got to stay together for like 3 weeks, and then after that, whatever, do whatever you
He pricks their fingers and signs it in blood.
want. One of the people dressed in the red Timothy the Mouse outfits, who are secretly the devil, come up
I'm
with a
pretty
blood
sure there were
contract.
band people in this one as well.
Oh,
Probably.
I Want You to Want Me. I don't remember what the other song they sang in here was. Oh, he
yeah.
sings Lying Beside You. And his band is there with him and they do like this whole dance. Oh, yeah. Cause he's like, wait here, I'm gonna dance. And she goes, I don't wanna dance. He's like, you don't have to. You just stand here and you watch me.
This isn't about you.
Yeah.
It's about you.
But it's like, what about his band then? Is he gonna? I don't really know the logistics, but like, is he then implying that he would quit his band and move to LA? Like, is the band also moving? Is she also agreeing to date the band? Because by the way, when they walk by the band, she reaches out and like strokes one of their arms,
Oh no.
like behind Steve's back. Is like, oh hey. Because they met at a concert, and apparently he tried to talk to Dana's friend, and the friend blew him off, and then she AIM'd him and was like, "You talked to my friend, but I wish you had talked to me."
I think she was just trying to get back to the drummer or whatever. He didn't
Yeah,
call. I'm gonna lead on your band member.
maybe she had the wrong guy, so she was like stroking the guy she thought she had been talking to for 5 years. But imagine the horror of like talking to someone and like being like, I can use this person as like a little flirtation, but like there's no commitment because they're so far away for them to do this
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
huge flash mob dance for you. Like that is
Yeah.
just
That's
cringy.
that's definitely the vibe I got. That it was like supposed to just be like a chit chat, long distance relationship, and then he turns up with 10,000 people and Howie Mandel.
Well, I mean, again, it's been 5 years. I feel like you have to understand what your relationship is and isn't by then. Like,
Hmm.
like if he actually wants to date her and she's clearly not into it, that's one thing. But it feels like he has had time to notice that she's not interested in him.
He
Yeah.
he has to because the second she's there, he's like, we've had a great friendship and I want to take it further. It's like, so you are admitting that like this is really going on a limb here. All right. So, did you guys watch A Father Lost?
Yes, I did
Yes.
watch Your Father Lost.
It says A Father Lost for 37 Years is the name of the episode, and it is described as a 37-year-old man, Art, asks the team to help him reunite with his father, whom he's never met. But instead of mobbing the father, the team flips the mob and surprises Art by having his father at the center of the
Okay.
mob.
Yeah. This was Howie Mandel at his most devious, in my opinion.
Oh, I think of all the horrible things he does to the mark, this has to be the worst
Yes.
idea. The
There's
most
no.
cruel, anyway.
Yeah.
So they see his tape and they're immediately like, "No, we want to mob him." I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. So they find this man's dad and they're like, "You want to help us mob your son?" And he's like, "Okay."
He says, "What
Yeah.
the fuck does that mean?"
Yeah,
But because
exactly.
Yeah.
but because this man had the son had already auditioned, they used his audition to trick him. They're like
Mhm.
they're like, "Here, we gotta interview you." And what they do is they set up a dance audition.
Mhm.
Yeah, they put him in a room with professional dancers who they claim are also people who want to be on the show Mobbed.
Yeah.
And then he has to audition with these seasoned pros, being given absolute, like, just super hard choreography he can't do. And then
Mhm.
they're like, yeah, you can't dance good, so we're not going to help you meet your father."
Yeah, that's the mind blowing because yeah, they set up the fake audition and they don't. It's not even at the audition. They tell him that they're just like, okay, thank you, and then they set up a fake meeting with Howie Mandel at a
At a
bowling
bowling alley.
alley,
Which, by
which
the
they
way,
picked because
when they scout that bowling alley, Howie has like a breakdown in there and it's like, I can't because there's too much stimulation and he has
oh
ADHD.
god,
And he's like, if they had disco balls in, like in third grade, I wouldn't have finished because he's talking about my ADHD is so bad I couldn't finish school because of this. Because everyone's laughing at him, no one's taking him seriously. Like, come on, Howie, this place triggers you.
yeah,
And he's like, I gotta get out of here. So then when they are at the flash mob for him to do that, you'll notice the disco ball and all that's been taken out.
turned off so Howie can pretend act like he's bowling. And that's the best part to me is that the reasoning because they another thing they say when they're at the bowling alley they're like yeah this is a really cool location but we like have to think of a reason as to why he's there. And then how he's like when he's like we'll set up a meeting with him and when the guy gets there he's like oh hey I know it's just me in this empty bowling alley but the owner lets me come in here to blow off steam. And the
He
guy's like
makes the man just
okay.
sit there. He's like, "I'm not done bowling. You
Yeah.
sit right there and watch me bowl."
Yeah, but not even that. He like tells the guy like, "Don't look at me. You're putting pressure on by looking at me." And then they tell Howie in his earpiece when the guy like peeks at him, he turns around and goes, "I said don't look at me."
And from that point, so that's when Howie does the reveal that, hey, sorry, like Danny said, you can't really dance. So therefore, you don't deserve to meet your dad. I'm pretty sure he uses those exact words
Oh, I
that,
have a quote. I have
Yeah, I
one
might.
of the quotes.
okay.
"Meeting your father clearly wasn't as important as you claimed
Ugh,
since you couldn't do the dance."
mm.
What kind of monster?
Yeah, that's verging like we've said, he's clearly like a manipulator or whatever, but that's like burgeoning, even if it's acting, that's like sociopathic
This poor
thought.
guy too is like tearing up. He's like, I mean, I'm sure those other dancers have like a good reason, and but like you shouldn't base it just off my dancing. And how he's like, what's called mobbed? It's a flash mob. It's a dancing show. You really think we're gonna put someone on there that can't pick up this choreography? And it's just like
Ugh,
tearing this guy apart. And
Lord.
unbeknownst to him, they've already found his father. They hire a private investigator.
Yeah, which cracked me up because in the movie Holes, that is also what they used to find Zero's lost mother. And I actually was watching this episode with my dad. Said, "Well, I guess if I ever lose somebody, you have to hire a private investigator because based on this and Holes are apparently extremely efficient."
Yeah, and they show like surveillance clips of the dad going to the grocery store and stuff. Like they really did stalk him for a little bit. But he's pretty open to the idea of meeting his son. Like, I mean, I'm sure they like edited maybe some stuff out, but he agrees pretty quickly. He's wearing his jorts. His wife answers in a bathrobe and is like, "Well, I didn't think it would be Howie Mandel when I opened the door." You never do. You never
What
do.
a threat. You never know when you're going to open your
Yeah.
door and Howie Mandel is just there.
The two things nobody expects: the Spanish Inquisition and Howie Mandel.
Ugh.
But it's also like they had Howie go to the dad's house because they didn't think it would work by having the producers call him. They needed the star power of Howie Mandel's face. And before they open the door, Howie like takes off his hat, so there's no way that they can't figure out who he is. That sparkly Mr. Clean Shine.
That sparkling dome.
So I forget, did they teach the dad a dance for this? I think this was like the one where they didn't make
Yeah,
somebody do a dance for them.
He
I
was
don't
willing,
remember.
but we're not going that far.
Yeah, I don't remember the dad dancing. It was definitely, I think, just like a tearful, heartfelt reunion.
Yeah. So Howie tells the guy he's not good enough and then pretends to take a phone call and leaves him sitting in the empty bowling alley.
Bowling alley. Oh,
That owner's gonna come back and be like, "You're not Howie Mandel."
get out of here.
Exactly. But I will say, I thought this flash mob, at least the beginning, was like one of the cooler ones because they like
Hmm.
turned off all the lights and had the dancers come out in like black light, neon, and like doing stuff. But then they lose
Yeah.
me when they leave the bowling alley and they're
Yes.
sign twirlers.
Hmm.
Because they've like put like little acts in each one. Like they had cloggers in the Justin and Nikki one. They had the daffodils. For this one, it's sign twirlers and skydivers because they have that like skydiving simulation thing at that mall. So they have
Yeah,
like
the
guys
iFly
working in there.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do their signature creepy pause where all of a sudden the music just stops. This is like I feel like happens in most episodes. Like mid
Yeah.
phone, they'll just like stop and like point to something, and so the guy like follows their fingers, and they all disappear to reveal a perfect stranger. Which I think at this point he knows he's been mobbed and
Yeah.
who this guy is. But that did make me wonder if he had like a picture of his father, or if he was like looking around like, so which one is he? I mean, the crowd leaves and he's the only one standing there, but was that his first reveal? Like, I
I
couldn't.
think so. Yeah, because I think he, yeah, I don't remember it ever showing any like old pictures of like him with his dad when he was younger. So I think it was definitely just
Oh
a
yeah, no,
complete.
they never met, but I didn't know if he like knew what he looked like because we all
Um,
Facebook creep and stuff now. Like
I
you
thought it
and
would have
me, the
been really
private
funny.
investigator nowadays, just put it
I
on
thought it would have been
Twitter and
really
they'll
funny
take
if they
care of
would
it
have done the
for you.
reveal, and the guy would have been like, "Hey, I'm not your dad. I'm just here to tell you that he's dead. All right, bye. Your dad died in 1994."
Oh my
Dad
god.
died on the way over here. He's dressed in the chauffeur's costume.
His last words were, "I can't wait to meet my son."
Howie Mandel's like, they gave me a private plane, but I didn't know how to fly it, and there was only one parachute. Sorry, kid.
And I'm Howie Mandel.
And then they're hugging, and the dad actually promises, he's like, I know I haven't been your life, and I haven't reached out because I've been too scared to just interject myself, but I promise that you have me 24/7, which is a very nice but very grand promise.
Yeah.
And they're hugging, and Howie bursts in and snatches the mic as usual, and just is like, walks up behind them and's like pointing to them, like, "Woo, look at them! I did this."
Look what I did.
Look upon my marvel.
And then they cue the song "I'll Be There," and the crowd
Yeah.
starts step touching in towards them, inching
Yeah.
in closer and closer. Which by this point they're on a platform, so they're technically safe from being engulfed. But I'm sure the mob could figure out how to work the stairs. He's
They'll
lucky that
adapt.
that they weren't choreographed to go up the stairs because they would have been swallowed alive.
Oh man.
All right, well that one was pretty heartfelt. This last one I felt was I cried every time. Still cringy, still a lot of problematic things going on. But this
Hmm.
one was like kind of cute. This one was called You Saved My Life.
Hmm.
And the description is a 75-year-old firefighter boss is still devastated after the death of one of his daughters who died in a car accident. After years of having saved people, his own daughter is the own person who he couldn't save. Side note, they reiterate that the whole episode. I don't know that they should be being like, yeah, he saved people as a firefighter, but he couldn't save his
Yeah.
daughter. Like he had nothing to do with the
Yeah,
car.
they really make it seem like he should have saved her.
Yeah, that's bonkers. I remember the first time they said that in the episode, I was like, "Holy shit! Don't put that on him!" Like,
Also, wasn't okay, I don't fully remember, but wasn't she a victim of a drunk driving incident?
No, she slipped on ice and hit a tree.
Oh
mm,
yeah, why couldn't you stop that, old man?
the old Jack
Exactly. It's
Frost.
like he's a firefighter and he was supposed to worry about the ice.
If you set fire to the ice, your daughter would still be here.
Aren't you a fireman? Can't you shoot fire? Isn't that how it works?
Okay, to me, this episode is the pinnacle of this show. It has the highest highs and the
Yeah,
lowest lows.
I would agree. Yeah.
It proves why this is a bad idea with a lot of good intentions. So, like, the man's daughter wants to do a flash mob to thank him for all the lives he's saved as a firefighter, but also to introduce him to all the people that got his daughter's organs after the accident,
hmm
which is really sweet. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was definitely eye-opening to me, just the amount. Like, when you think of like organ donor, like I don't know if this is everyone, but for me personally, it's like, okay, when I die, they'll have my heart. But like literally, it's a lot of people.
yeah, like
It's like 6 or 7 people are there. Like, I got this from her, I got this from her, and that is very, very touching and very sweet.
when this mob works, it works.
Well, and I will say too that I think there's only two parties that received her organs and the rest were just other organ donors.
Oh,
Not
okay.
necessarily
Well, at least some of them were the family of an older woman who had gotten to live
Yeah,
like 20 more years
yeah.
because of her organs.
yeah.
hmm
Yes, that is true. There was an old woman who didn't make it to the the mob, and
Why
then
didn't you save her?
I know they give them the microphone like you saved all these people, and you thought that there was only one you didn't save.
That's true.
Oh,
But yeah, the daughter is talking about the impact of her sister's death, and saying that by the way, her sister's name is Dee Dee Mittens, which we find out because they show us her grave and on there is written Dee Dee Mittens. And I don't know if you're 3 years old like me and just the sounds and the I don't know. I don't know if that's enough to tickle you, but for some reason it brought a smile to my face.
oh,
But the daughter is talking about the impact of the organ donations, and she's saying the most important thing you can do in life is touch another person, which is just ironic because Howie Mandel refuses to touch people. But again, he fist bumps and stuff. He touches people's shoulders. But in the last episode with the when he goes with the private investigator to surprise the dad tries to shake Howie's hand, and Howie says, "I don't do that. I do this," and like fist bumps him. So
I do this.
the germophobia is definitely there. I think it. I don't really know Howie Mandel's personal life, but I think if I am correct that it just like got worse with him throughout the years, and I'm sure terrible
yeah.
now with COVID and all that.
Oh god.
And speaking of COVID, there's one episode where he's got like a nose hair and like makes someone pluck it and is like crying. It's like, oh Howie, if only you knew what was gonna get shoved up your nose in
2020 is not going to be very kind for you, Howie.
Oh, but Howie is in his most chaotic form in this episode. I have so many Howie quotes from just
Oh,
the
good.
beginning of this episode. He says, "We are honoring somebody, but we want it to be funny and awkward."
And by God, does he accomplish awkward at least? I don't know about funny, but awkward for sure.
Yes, awkward he achieves. And at some point when he's talking about, because they're like, my dad's a good man, but he's not really used to spectacle, so he's probably not really gonna be prepared for this in any way. And he's like, oh, this is a recipe for a heart attack, and then cackles. Like, I cannot wait to give this old man a heart attack.
Yeah, 73-year-old man. I can't wait to fuck his day up.
And they choose to do that by making him think that he is being interviewed for a documentary about heroes. But then he gets there and they're like, it's actually a sexy fireman photo shoot. And you guys
Put
will
on
all
the
be wearing
song.
thongs. And if you abide by gender norms the way I think you do, old timer, you will be very, very adamant
Yeah,
to not do this. They're like, he'll reject it. He'll be embarrassed. He'll beg us to get out of it. Which,
yeah.
they're right. He does pretty
Well,
much anything.
actually, I found it very interesting because he kept just saying like, "I'm gonna get in trouble with work if I do."
Mhm.
It didn't sound like he like on his personal time would mind, but he's like, "I think the fire department's gonna be mad if I pose for a sexy calendar."
Yeah. And to try to trick him even more, one of the other executive producers of the show pretends to be another fireman and comes out already dressed, pretty much naked, except for a fire helmet covering his genitals. And the old man's reaction, he goes, I doubt that man's actually a firefighter.
Yeah, he's like, I'm having a hard time believing he's a real firefighter.
Yeah.
But then they're like, they've decided they're like, it would be good because we know he's gonna say no if we decide to attack his moral integrity based on
Oh,
his refusal to do a sexy calendar shoot.
yeah, it goes from wacky cringe to like shut the hell up cringe
Yeah.
very quickly.
They basically say, and when he refuses, we'll accuse him of not being charitable because
Yes.
this is all for charity. So when he says he doesn't want to wear the thong, we'll be like, well, then you must not care about anyone but yourself.
The
Mhm.
gaslighting returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all bad. And like
Mhm.
this one, they're doing it in like I don't think it's a parking garage. I think it's like the foundation for a store that hasn't put anything in there yet, but it's like this big
Yeah.
open space.
Yeah,
And
it's like
they
a
have
big empty
people
building.
hiding behind curtains as this is going on. So they're like doing this whole photo shoot and there's like hundreds of people surrounding them. But at one point they were like, so you don't have a heart? It's like, there's like 100 organ donors behind this curtain. So
Ooh,
what, you don't have a heart or something?
Woof.
You're like tears coming from sniffles.
Oh God, bless.
you've never sacrificed anything for another person? Ooh, you didn't save your daughter from the ice?
Your heart's so cold it could freeze water into ice.
Freeze the
You know
world.
how dangerous that is?
You have no idea how dangerous that is.
Oh my god.
Also, for
Yikes.
this one, when they're suggesting about like what the big spectacle in the
Oh my
flash mob is
god.
going to be, the Tabitha, the choreographer, says we'll have sexy female firefighters
Yeah.
doing pole dances, and how he goes, but that's not really for whatever the guy's name is. Uh,
That's for us.
that's for us. Yeah, exactly. That's for the producers and people behind the camera, and the cameraman sticks his thumbs up in front of the camera.
Oh my god. You can like see Tabitha eye roll, well, someone eye rolling.
That boggled my mind, man, when they said in the moment where we're going to be honoring your dead daughter, let's have sexy fire pole strippers. And I was just like, holy
Well,
shit.
no, this is still in the part of the flash mob that's telling him he's a hero. We're not at the Dee Dee Mittens portion of the night.
I mean, we're getting to the DD Mittens portion.
It's
You're going to
right
see these.
before, but he doesn't know what's coming next.
True, but I still think that you should not. I wouldn't associate strippers with a 10-foot pole near any portion.
No, I know, but like they're like showing his daughter some of the dances, and I'm like, I noticed you didn't show her the sexy stripper, not stripper,
Mhm.
the sexy pole dancers.
Yeah, that's a good point because they do this whole contemporary number to Halo to commemorate Dee Dee Mittens, and they have all these dancers come out in white, and they show her that, and like honestly, that dance is probably what makes me sad the most. So of course, I had to make dark humor about it, being like, "But what?" So like the organ donors all come out dressed in white. I'm like, "But what if they had blood splotches on the clothing?" to coordinate where they received the kidney
Oh
or
my
the
god.
organs so everyone knows. Yeah, I already prefaced it by saying it was dark.
Oh no.
But then so there'd be no confusion about like, so that girl got the kidney and that girl got the stomach, and because the I don't know.
They're holding big gummy like bear shaped like organs and they consume them in front of him.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Oy.
But all this to say, this episode, every time I've seen it, which at this point's maybe like twice, but I've cried. Like it's
Yeah.
sad.
It is easily the most effective flash mob in the book.
Yes, I would agree too. Like I think Danny nailed it when you said that it has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. If I had to recommend the people listening, if you want to check this out, we said, the episodes are on YouTube. If there were two I would tell you to watch, it would be the pilot and probably this one. For me personally, is what I would say.
Yes.
And then when they finally do reveal that it's a commemoration of Dee Dee Mittens, their daughter Missy, I believe is her name, says, "Look at the angel behind you," like referencing they've got like a big screen with her face, but the camera pans up to the Nordstrom sign because they're in a mall, of course. They're usually in a mall for these. look, look at the angel.
got got a Panda Express to the right. Oh, jeez, Louise.
But yeah, this one was pretty touching. All the
Hmm.
organ donors come out. We meet the 21 or the 20-year-old girl. This part made me laugh too. Like they bring out the still living organ recipient and they hold the microphone in front of her for like 2 minutes in silence, and then she just says, "Thank you." Which probably just editing and stuff that makes it look so weird, but it was like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
waited forever for her to say something. She just says, "Thank you. Thanks for the ice."
Should have donated the brain too, so you could have thought of something better to say.
They say, "Oh, I see you didn't get Dee Dee's brain." This is not right.
No, half of this has to get cut.
No, leave it all in. Leave it all in.
Oh gosh. But yeah, that's mobbed.
Yeah,
That's all.
that is mobbed. Yeah, for sure. That was it. Definitely. I'm shocked. Like seriously, we've said it at the beginning, but thank you for bringing this to our attention, Kat,
Yeah.
because I never would have known this existed. And I mean, as rough as some of the viewings were, I'm glad I know about this now because
Yeah.
it is a very interesting time capsule into a very specific point in time.
I will never look at Howie Mandel the same.
You know,
It's over.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how much relevance he holds right now. I mean, does he still host America's Got Talent? I think that's probably
yeah.
now
He's
his
still
big
the judge on
point.
AGT. I haven't watched the last two seasons, but I mean, up until about a year ago, he was on there. I think still. So
Yeah, well, I think it's best he just forgets that he did this. I don't know. I don't know if he looks back at this and is proud of what he did, but
every time he steps into his private jet, I'm sure he thinks back fondly.
I'm sure every time they're like interviewing him to do a new project, he's like, "So what did you think of Mobbed? And would you like to bring it back?"
God, I wonder what like mobbed would be with like a modern twist now. It'd be like swatting. You thought that
Oh my
FBI on you. Shows up. Like for streamers, like it's called swatted. And then your mom comes out and is like, I'm pregnant. I was like, what's good news? What's good news?
Howie Mandel is still the host.
Yeah. How he goes, you know what would be really funny if we shot their dog?
Yes, I'm with you.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
You know what's funny? Let's support Grandma.
Oh, that would be an interesting show is if they have bad news to break, so they have to make things worse so that the bad news doesn't look that bad.
just like a little kid, they like take them to Disney World, buy them all their favorite toys from all the different lands, and then as they're walking out of the gates, they go, "By the way, your parents are getting divorced."
You're on like Space Mountain. Your mother and I.
Oh man,
But yeah, I don't know that we'll expect to see this show back anytime soon.
yeah, I don't I don't think so, but I'm not exactly sure. Like you said, a modern twist. I mean, with all the TikTok fads and everything that are going on, I anticipate there will be internet culture based
Yeah.
TV shows at some point. I
I
don't
mean,
know
they
when.
already tried to do a Candy Crush game show,
Oh yeah, they did. You're right.
so it's only a matter of time.
Is that the Kristen Chenoweth one, or is that there's like a Candyland
That's
game show?
Candyland. Yeah, that's on Cooking Food Network. Candyland.
I don't think our culture deserves to survive.
There's gonna be an Angry Bird show where they just stuff you into a big red outfit and shoot you out of a big old slingshot.
Oh my gosh, you guys need to do I Survived the Japanese game show at some point.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
I know.
level.
I would
Because
love
that one's
that.
also wacky. But also, if you guys are looking for more people, I will happily do this again.
Oh, well, we
We
would
will
love to
have you
have you.
again. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we would love to have you. It's been awesome having you on here. And like I said, you brought something very different to the table, which I
Yes.
love. So
Well, I
bless you. Thank you
love
so
cringe television. I I will watch that all for free since I'm clearly being paid to do it now.
Speaking of which, I think we said it when Rob was here, but we'll reiterate it again now. If you know us, listen to the podcast, feel free to hit us up. Either one of us, we're happy to discuss having some guests, having some friends on. You both of our guests so far have brought their ideas with them,
much.
but if you just want us to help more with that, we are happy to do that too. We
Hmm.
love talking with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to add to that as well. Thank you. We kind of migrated our show to YouTube, and we already have a few subscribers
Yes.
who are listening. So if you are one of those, thank you so much. We appreciate anybody who wants to sit and listen to what we have to say. So thank you so much for joining us on this crazy ride. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Okay, so we're wrapping up, so it's time for some apologies. Kat, would you like to participate? You don't have to go first, but would you like to apologize?
Do I have to apologize for things I've said on this podcast?
It
You
could be. You can
don't.
apologize for anything you need to apologize for.
It doesn't have to
You
be.
guys go first.
Okay. I'll start. This is going to be a first. I'm going to apologize to our guest on the show, to Kat. I apologize that while we were in college, we didn't make Hocus for Locus happen after
Oh my god.
discussing it.
Oh my
The
god.
brilliant idea that we thought up at a party one night, that Hocus for Locus never happened. So I apologize not only to Kat but to the world that beautiful piece of art never manifested. So
You know, we there's still time.
true, true.
I would like to apologize to the world for Howie Mandel. Not just him specifically, but Mobs taught me that this was his ringtone.
Yes. That's
He
what
had
it
the,
says. Can you hear the excitement in my pants?
he had the boing ringtone on his iPhone, and it's the most painful thing I've ever heard.
He fancies himself a Looney Tunes character.
So if you are watching the show because we brought you to it, I'm sorry.
Ugh.
Oh gosh. Well, I guess I that inspired me for a couple apologies.
Oh boy, we're taking confessions now.
Well, no, actually this one's been on my mind for a little bit. I'm like gonna get real for a second. So in college, we put on a live reading of Space Jam. Basically, we saw a YouTube video of real celebrities doing it in thought we could carry it, and it was, I don't know, it like we realized what a horrible, horrible idea it was maybe like 5 minutes into us all sitting on the stage and people like getting up and like leaving and stuff. But anyway, my materialistic, childish college heart wanted a Lola Bunny jersey so bad, the Toon Squad one, and I had a GoFundMe for it, like a jackass, and like wrote like a fake funny description. Like I wasn't really trying to get people to pay for it, but also was because I worked at Papa John's and that was just too much of an ask. But Zach ended up buying it for me, and
Oh
I'm
my
going to start by saying
god.
I have it to this day. I do have it. Um,
Oh.
but I did try to sell it on Facebook at one point so that I could go to showcase, and then
Oh my
as soon as I
god.
post it, the first person to like it is Zach, and I didn't even like think because I was stupid and selfish and like this was like 5 years ago. I'm matured now, but that was like such a dick move. So I'm so sorry, but I do still have it, and I was Lola Bunny for Halloween at my work this past, not this Halloween obviously, but like this last one. So I do still have it, and I'm glad that I didn't know we were doing apologies. I'm sure you didn't expect me to apologize for something real.
Man, you got a real apology.
You do not have to apologize, and you do not have to
What a
hold on to
horrible.
that if you feel like I was trying to guilt you into holding on to that Lola Bunny, but that is not what I was doing. I remember your description was very funny on that, which is why I think I
Well, I
liked
purposely
it.
priced it high because I didn't really want people to buy it, but if they were gonna pay for it because I was just trying to like sell everything at that point. But that was like you and like not to mention like Zach drove me to the or I drove Zach. Zach came with me to a plasma clinic so I could donate plasma to get money buy
Oh.
this jersey, which I immediately spent that money on something else I won't say, but you do smoke it. So then Zach, but also if I remember correctly too, as I was being led back to get the blood drawn, I got a notification on my phone that said that Zach had donated the money to the GoFundMe. So I was like, I don't even have to do this. Stop, like gripping the walls.
Oh man. Jesus, I hadn't thought of that in years. Oh my god.
Well, I'm a paranoid, anxious person, so I think about it every time I open my closet and see that jersey. I'm glad
The
to hear that you didn't
telltale
take it
Lola
too
Bunny
seriously,
jersey.
but I just like Zach and Danny both. You guys are very awesome, and I am your
Oh,
friends, but I'm also your fans. So I'm very glad
oh
to be
jeez.
here. And
Well, we are a fan of yours too.
Yes. Oh
We
my
are
god.
fan. We are together a fan.
Mhm. It's a mob of fans, if you will.
I gotta ask too: have either of you been in a flash mob?
Oh god, no.
I think I've been invited, but I don't think I did it.
That's what I was about to say. Do you think people invite me to things?
See, Zach's the one that doesn't get invited. I'm the one that you invite, and I'm immediately like, why the hell did you invite me to this? What about me tells you Flash Mob is in my future? Have you, Kat?
I did a freeze mob, which do you remember those also being
Yes.
popular at the time where like it
Yeah.
was kind of the same concept except people would freeze. The kicker was only like 6 people showed up, so the effect did not translate. We just looked like stupid teenagers hazing. But to note this, to get people to show up to watch this brilliant freeze mob, I put on Facebook, this was like a shopping mall called The Green. I people from Dayton, Ohio will know the Green. But I put on Facebook that the Green was having a 50% off everything sale.
Oh my god!
Every store was selling things 50% off, and people were commenting on it, being like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but you have to be in the center of the mall by 4 o'clock."
Oh my god. Criminal mastermind.
So I'll apologize for that one too, because unlike Howie Mandel, I didn't have a great payoff for that disappointment.
Oh my god. I love that. Oh my god, thank you for that.
Yes, excellent apologies. The best we've had
Yes.
on the show.
Easily the best apology so far.
You
You've
should see
raised the
my
bar.
body language has shifted so much since we got into this part. Like I am like in a fetal position in my office chair right now. Like we got raw.
Oh.
I'm just now noticing that my arms are like wrapped in my legs.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's it for this episode, friends.
Yeah, what a high note to go out.
But no matter what time of day it is, I hope you're having a good one.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Eat your vegetables, kids. It's more important than you think. Wear fucking masks. I'll put
Wear
that
a
out.
mask.
Wear a mask.
Actually, yeah, wear a fucking mask if you're not, for the love of God. But other than that, thank you so much for listening to Culture Schlock. I'll apologize. Another apology for me that there was a delay between episodes, but it was the holidays and a lot of stuff was going on. So we're hoping we actually have a few other guests lined up and ideas for just duo cast with
Yeah.
Danny and myself. So expect content hopefully on a more regular basis. But thank you so much again for everybody who listens and everybody who's reached out to want to be guests. We love you and appreciate it. And thanks. Have a great day, night, evening, whatever. See ya.